In this video we'll show how you can put a list control on the UX component and easily populate that list with data from Twitter. So I have a new UX component open here in the builder, and I'm going to go now to define controls, where a list of predefined controls have been created. And in this list I'm going to see here that there's a entry called list Twitter example. So I'm going to go ahead and then select that and then switch over to working preview, and let's go here and just type in, say, London, and then hit refresh, and there are the tweets now that are coming in from London. Let's change that to, say, 20 rows of data, and then hit the refresh button. And so now we've gone back to Twitter to get 20 rows of data. If I press the refresh, I'm going to go and refresh that list. So if we go and look at what's actually happened now behind the scenes, when we chose define controls, we put on a text box to type in the search string. We put another text box in to type in the number of rows, and then we put in a button to refresh the list. So this list here is called list underbar Twitter. So if we go look at that button over there, we can see that the button code just simply says refresh list and then the name of the list. But if we go into the actual list definition itself, we can see here that this list is based on a custom data source, which means that you need to write an XBasic function, and the XBasic function, instead of being stored in the functions declaration section, which is where most XBasic code is normally stored, we've actually stored it directly in the component, so that the component can be easily copied from so that the control can be easily copied from one component to another. So you can see here we've said define this XBasic in the list control itself, and if we click there, we can see here's our XBasic function that does a query against Twitter to get the tweets. So we can see that we're looking at the value of e.data submitted, and if there was no data, we're going to just default to Boston, which is why when we opened up the list in the first place, we saw tweets from Boston, and we're going to also default the number of rows to 10. So this is the RESTful API for Twitter. So we're basically calling search.twitter.com, and basically the URL that we're going to be searching for is defined over here. So and then we call HTTP post to make the request against the Twitter website, and then we're going to get a response back from Twitter, which we're then going to go and pass using the JSON pass function, and we're going to look inside the response to see if there was an error. If there was an error, we're going to just exit, and if there wasn't an error, then the data that we want to display is going to be stored in p.results, which we're going to go and convert into a JSON object, and then use that to populate the list. So if we were to actually go here and put in a debug 1, we'll get to see more clearly what exactly is being passed back to the list control to populate the list. So let's go now. And one other thing that I'd like to point out is that we've also stored some local CSS to style the actual Twitter display. So here's the local CSS that we've defined. You can see it's just a very simple amount of CSS, and the list layout here is using a freeform layout to display the data. So let's go now quickly over to working preview, and you can see here that if we go and look at the format of the data, we can see that we have an array of JSON objects. So each item in the array is the JSON data from Twitter, and these represent the available fields that we can use to populate our list. So you can see that it's very easy to populate a list with data from a RESTful API that returns JSON data, as of course Twitter does. Thanks very much for watching.